welcome to Zion Voice. If you're picking up on the frequency we're broadcasting today, do us a favor, hit like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to stay aligned with what we're doing here. Drop a comment below on what unseen layers of reality you want us to unpack next.
It feels like we're living in an age of, well, unprecedented chaos, doesn't it? But what if I told you that chaos wasn't random? What if you were specifically designed for this very moment? Today, we're diving into a really radical framework, one that reframes our entire turbulent world. It argues this isn't an ending, it's a beginning. And it has a powerful message. You were born for this. Yeah, this captures a feeling a lot of us know all too well. That constant sense of being overwhelmed. Anxiety is practically a growth industry these days. That's not some personal failing, it's a collective experience. It's actually the defining feature of our time.
The diagnosis is pretty clear. We're caught in a perfect storm. You've got wars and rumors of wars, economic uncertainty that keeps everyone on edge, and just this deep spiritual confusion. And all of that trickles down into our own personal struggles. It's a world in crisis, and we see it play out every single day.
So when you hear all that, where does your mind go? It sounds like a story about endings, doesn't it? Like the only thing to do is hunker down, brace for impact, and just try to survive. But this is where the framework we're exploring takes a sharp, really unexpected turn.
It all hinges on this one phrase, "for such a time as this." It comes from the ancient story of Esther, and it completely changes the game. It becomes the lens for everything that follows. The idea is, you aren't just a victim of all this chaos. You were placed here, intentionally, for a purpose, for such a time as this. And that brings us to the Esther question. And this is the fundamental pivot. It's a shift from seeing crisis as this big, scary, destructive force to seeing it as the very backdrop for your calling. You're no longer just a character caught in the storm. You're the protagonist of the story.
And here is the absolute core of the argument. Your identity, your real purpose, it's not defined by the chaos. Not at all. It's a constant. It's anchored in something bigger, something unshakable. Even if the world around you feels like it's coming apart at the seams.
Real purpose isn't just found despite adversity, it's often forged in it.
First up, we have Joseph, and his story is held up as the ultimate example of a divine reversal. This one quote really says it all. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." It's this incredible idea that even the worst intentions can be flipped for a greater purpose.
So look at this journey. He was sold into slavery, falsely imprisoned. These are life-ending trials. These weren't obstacles blocking his destiny. No, they were his destiny. They were the exact specific path that put him in the one position where he could save an entire nation from famine. Incredible, right?
All right, our second case study, David. Now, we all think of him as a king in a palace, but long before that, he was a fugitive hiding in a cave. This quote, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress." It shows you the mindset he had to build when he had nothing else. When all the power in the world was hunting him, he had to rely on something else.
And this contrast really nails the point. Being hunted by the king wasn't some unfortunate detour in his life. It was his training ground. That wilderness, that was his West Point. It's where he learned to lead, where he found the people who would be loyal to him forever. The trial didn't delay his kingship, it created it.
And for our final case study, we look at the Apostle Paul. And his story presents what might be the most paradoxical idea yet. Just listen to this. "For when I am weak, then I am strong." What does that even mean? It sounds backward, but it's central to this framework.
Look at this list. Shipwrecked, beaten, thrown in prison. For anyone else, that's game over. Mission failed. But the argument here is that for Paul, these were catalysts. Think about it. Being in prison gave him a captive audience of guards and officials. The shipwreck put him on an island he never would have visited. His points of greatest weakness, of total powerlessness, actually became his greatest platform.
Okay, so we've seen the case studies, the historical blueprint, but how does this apply to us, right now? This is where the framework shifts from theory into practice. It moves from the why to the how. How do you actually tap into this purpose? Well, it all comes down to connecting to a divine power source.
Now, before we get to the how, there's a really important term we need to understand. It's this word, the remnant. And the key thing to get is that this isn't just about you as an individual going it alone. The remnant is a collective, a group of people who are being preserved through the chaos, specifically to rise up and fulfill a unified, divine purpose.
So here's the practical 3-step playbook this framework lays out. First, you have to find peace, but not a peace that depends on your circumstances being perfect, because they won't be. The source says this peace is found in Yahusha, which is a Hebrew name for Jesus. Second, you receive direction, not from the news, not from the noise, but from spiritual guidance. And third, you access a strength that is way beyond your own personal human limits.
And all of this leads to the final piece of the puzzle, and it's explicitly prophetic. This isn't just a self-help guide for coping with today. No, it's a vision for the future, and it's all centered on one thing: a remnant is rising.
And this right here, this is the ultimate claim. It's a message aimed squarely at that feeling of being small or forgotten or just insignificant in the face of all this global chaos. It says, you are not forgotten. In fact, you are being prepared. You're not a casualty of the times, you're a strategic asset, being positioned for this exact moment. And the key word there is united. The number one here isn't about being alone, it's about becoming one single, united body. See, according to this framework, all this preparation isn't for a bunch of individuals to survive on their own little islands. It's for a collective purpose. All right, as we start to wrap this up, let's just take a step back and look at what we've unpacked. We've just analyzed one very specific spiritual framework, a really unique lens for looking at and maybe even navigating the seriously turbulent times we live in. So, what are the big takeaways here? Well, first, that feeling of global anxiety gets totally reframed. It's not a burden, it's a call to action. Second, your identity is presented as something that exists outside the chaos. It's stable, it's solid. Third, there's a practical spiritual toolkit for tapping into a power greater than yourself. And finally, the whole vision isn't about fading away. It's about a collective group that is rising up to meet this moment head-on. You know, understanding the frameworks people are using to make sense of the future is, well, it's more crucial now than ever. If this kind of analysis is a valuable resource for you, if it helps you connect the dots, consider following our work. So, we'll leave you with one final thought, a question that comes right out of the heart of what we've just explored. The source claims that chaos isn't the enemy, that it's actually the raw material for purpose. If that's true, what will you build with yours? To make sure this signal of truth reaches the ends of the earth, share this broadcast, because what we found next will change everything you believe about reality.
If this message has resonated with you, we invite you to subscribe to continue this journey toward truth. Like this to help it reach others, and please share it with anyone you know who may be seeking answers beyond all the noise of the world.